Perfect. So you're finally using ClickUp. And now that you have received your invitation, you logged on, let's do an overview of how this board is set up so we can move, so you'll know where to move through and how to use it. It's just the basics. It's not all the details, right? So once you get logged in, one key thing that you can always remember if you ever can't find what you're looking for, my go-to place is the search bar right up top. So I go to that search bar up top. Of course, you can do, if you're on a Mac, do that Apple K, and you can type in whatever it is you're looking for. If you're looking for something with the word ATL in it, then it's going to pull up all the cards that have ATL. If you're looking for something that has, let's see if SOPs are in here. So anywhere the word SOPs is in here, you'll be able to double click on any of these. It'll open up and you'll be able to see it. So inside, you'll be able to see the card that has the word SOP on it. Perfect. All right, so let's back out of here. That's the go-to place if you ever get stuck and you're like, dog, I'm looking for something, but I can't quite find it. So when you're on the board on the left-hand side, it has the spaces. They call these spaces. Everything Kanisha Moselle Task, KM Massive, Project Board, and then the board we're going to be looking at today, or the space we're going to be looking at today, is called Ambassadors Unite. So inside of Ambassadors Unite, we have lists, and these are the places with these little lines right next to them. There's also an app. You can download it, and you can download the app and you can move through and do these things as well. You may not have access to see all the spaces because you might only have the space or the access to Ambassadors Unite. Regardless, that's what we're going to look at today, since that's probably all that you have access to, which is absolutely and totally fine. Now inside, you can click on that caret or that triangle. You see how it closes them up, folds them up and folds them down. Let's go ahead and, because I have it highlighted, it's going to show me everything on all the list that's assigned to this space. Right, so we have the overview on the top here, because you can look at it different ways. Different people like to see it different ways. So in return, they have them all here and available for you to set your board the way you desire it. We have an overview, and this will give the overview or the breakdown, what's recently been touched, if there's any docs like Google Docs, but it's saved inside of ClickUp. If there's any bookmarks, anything that you've bookmarked that you want to easily, quickly, and go back to, any folders, and the list goes on, right? This is what automatically default pops up. I don't use this as my main view. If you want to, absolutely fine. It's not a problem. You have your filters here where you can change what's listed, right? So you can play around with those. Next, we have lists. Now, lists is my go-to place, and it breaks down all the lists. Let me close the list so you can see them. It breaks down all the lists that are under Ambassadors United. So Ambassadors United, the space, has 4 lists underneath them. And you can see in the middle, we have Ambassadors United, and they have 4 spaces. Excuse me. Ambassadors United space has 4 lists underneath them. And this is the list view. Now, I have mine on group status. You can change that status if you like. And I have it on subtask expand all. What does that mean? Whenever I come over to the list, it's going to open up everything so I can see everything. Everything is already open. You may not want to look at it like this. Just click on subtask expand all and make your adjustments there. If you don't want to group them by the list, you can click on the status or the group and tell it how you want it to group it together. So I have mine grouped in order of to do, and so it has the list, and then inside the list it has the breakdown for the to do. I have mine in ascending. You may want to have it by due date. You may want to group it by who it's assigned to, maybe priority. So you have this functionality to make these adjustments on how you best want to see it. You may want to look at it like this initially, and as you're using it, then you're like, you know what? I need to change this because I'm always looking at when stuff's due. So let me put it by the due date. Totally fine. Do you. Next, we have columns. That's another way of looking at things on the right-hand side. That field pops open. Filters, if you want to make some filters or adjustments, you can do that to your list view. We have me mode. So this is going to allow me to see only the things that I am on. So I'm not seeing everybody's everything. These are just the things that I'm on. I have assignees, so I can see the things that need to be assigned, and I see the people over here that I can assign them to because they're on the board. I can tell it to show the closed things. So sometimes there's things on the board that are closed and I want to see them. We can show the closed tasks and also the sub tasks that are closed. We're getting ready to get into what that is now. All right, so that's the list view. Before I dive into each of these items on the list, let's look at the other views. We have board. Board gives you a view like Trello. Some people love to look at it this way. So you have the cards, and of course, you can slide them through the different columns depending on what status that they're in. And so you see how this particular card has 3 subtasks. I guess we can take a quick peek at it. So the name of the card is for Thursday, September. And you see subtasks. It has 3 items for this one card. We'll dive more into that in a minute. So you have the same settings here where you can make adjustments on what you want to view. The viewing, the board setup. Next, we have timeline. Do you want to look at it on the timeline? This is the Gantt chart, or the NAT chart that some people call GNATT, I think it is. And so it'll list start date and the end date of a particular task, and then it'll show the bars on here. We just set this board up so it doesn't have any start dates and end dates. So in return, they're not on here. But as you see, September's up top and it scrolls across. The downside of looking at things this way is if you have things that are unscheduled, as you see on the right-hand side, they don't have a due date, so they don't show up on here. But you'll need to put them on here so your bars can show and it can have all that information that you need to view on the total thing. And then they have a plus sign for plus view. If you want to add on any additional viewing options, you have that option and wherewithal to do so. So I'm going to be working from the list view today. Once you're on the list view, let's see, on the top right-hand corner, you have a notepad up top. You have my open tasks. If I want to see all the open tasks that are assigned to me, you have an open notepad if you just want to take some quick notes. If you want to record a clip, that's that little camera there. You want to create a reminder so it'll pop up and remind you to do something. You want to create a doc. The really cool thing about using docs on or inside of ClickUp is when you're using the doc and you do a search. Remember, if we're looking for something, we can go up here and do a search. If you do a search for a particular word, if it's inside the doc, it'll find that document for you, so you'll be able to view it on there as well. As opposed to if you just put a link on there, like a Google Doc link, it's not going to search the contents of Google Doc link. It's just going to show you the link. And then you have the cube, I like to call it, and you can see your profile. You can track your time. The free version doesn't let you, it lets you track time, but not a whole heap of time. So it limits how much time you can track. Reminders, a new doc, clips, notepad. It's kind of the same as what we just looked at a minute ago. If you want to see your calendar, things that are assigned to you, people, this is a newer function, so I don't use it that much. If you need a whiteboard, you can do that. If you want to go back to your dashboard, you can do that as well. Of course, play around with it and do what you want to do when it comes to that cube. On my top right-hand corner, it has an M. Maybe that'll be changing soon, but over here, you can click on that as well. You can change your theme, your settings, and play around with that. That doesn't necessarily impact the overall board. It's more so how you're set up. Another cool function of ClickUp, I can see who's actively online when I'm looking at the people that are assigned to the board, and I can see the last time they were active on the last time they were logged in. So if it was 10 minutes ago, it'll say Monica was online 10 minutes ago. All right, so I'm going to be using the list view because that's the view that I thoroughly enjoy. And inside of here, let's close the list up quickly so you can take a peek. We have 4 lists inside of the list view. There's 4. We can always add more lists. It's not a big deal, but the 4 lists. The first one is Grace for This Builders Arise Summit. So when we open that up, any task that we can see that goes with Grace for This Builders Arise Summit, we kind of list them out here. So we said there's a pre-event launch, so getting all the things together and ready before the actual summit gets here. There's an event lockbox. So these are the things that are kind of static. They don't change a lot. It's the overall vision for it. It's maybe the link for where to go to log in. It's the things that are steady, right? The vision for it, the dates for it, who's the host, stuff like that. And then the last part of it is post-event launch. So once the event is over, that night, the next day, there's things that need to be done. All those things go in here. Now, the goal is to have these things done and planned out before, well in advance, before the actual event. So every event that we have, our goal is to have all this stuff kind of mapped out. The lockbox is done first. All the details are filled out. Everybody knows what it is. So that way they can pull that information and go over to the pre-event launch and fill out all those details. Anybody will say, oh, I know the date, I know all the details. Let me go to the pre-event launch and start filling it in. Let's go over to the post-event launch and start doing that part. So let's go inside of the event lockbox because that comes first. So we named it event lockbox because it's locked. It's not going to change. It's currently set at status to do. So it was, so we'll be changing this, right? July 25th to 26th, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or a Thursday, Friday, and 2 times on Friday. It's virtual. And we scroll down. This is like a description box. So this card has all this information in it. It has where you can register, has a reference documentation, the pricing, what to expect. That's going to help write the emails and all the stuff, the vision and the mission of it, the desired outcome. So the goals, so people know what they're moving towards. Sessions, so when you're making the advertising material, you'll be able to say happening in the different sessions, or if you want to drill down on one of the sessions, the timeline is here. So this is literally all the information about the summit. Now, if someone was to open this up and say, wait a minute, I don't understand. On the right-hand side, there's a place where you can write a comment. Ideally, you want to hit the @ and put the person's name in, or select them, and then type in whatever it is you want to say. By doing it like this, person, in this case, Monica Michelle, will get notification. I believe it sends an email, but it definitely sends a notification if you're using the app. And I believe it shows up on that dashboard or that overview page that was there when we first pulled it up. You just have to hit send. If you want to attach any items, you can attach the file. You can record a voice note. You can record a video or a screen video grab, an emoji. You can assign comment as an action item. So you can say, make sure you give me all the details. And you can tell it to assign. And then you have the hide AI tools. AI is a newer function to Clickup, like most AI things. And so they ask you if you want AI to kind of go out and do stuff. Nevertheless, you hit send, and when you do so, it lives on the right-hand side. When the status change, it's going to record that status change also, the day and time that happened, and who changed it. In this case, I did. So the status, since once this is filled out, or while this is being filled out, it can be changed to pending, right? If it can't all be filled out in one sitting, or let's say, you know what, I'm actively working on this stuff right now. So I said, okay, I'm working on it now. I'm getting all the details. When I'm done with it, if someone says, hey, I don't quite understand what the vision of this is. Do you mean yellow or do you mean blue? Do you mean men or do you mean women? They can come back here and say, hey, I need something. And the person that it's assigned to, the assignees, will get a notification. So whoever this is assigned to, if the status change, they'll get notified. Now, here's the thing. Every time you change the status, if you have an assignee on here, every time you change the status, they get an email. Every single time. If you make a comment, they're getting an email. All the things. The really cool thing about it is when they get these emails, especially if it's a question or a comment, they can reply to that email and it'll put the information right over here in the comments for them. So they don't necessarily have to log in if you've given them enough details from your comment, because the comment will be in their email. But that's the goal. You have to give them enough information. They can either log in and find the card and respond appropriately, or they can reply to the email, and Clickup will put it on this corresponding card. So if it needs something, you put it on need something. If this is urgent, like, I need this because I'm going to go out of town and I need to hurry up and get it, or this is like, you can change the urgency level of it. You can leave it blank as well. It's absolutely fine. Tag, we don't necessarily use. Time, we don't use. Again, the free version has limited time that you can track. I don't remember what the max number of hours can be tracked on here under the free version, but there is a max number. So once you get to that number, it'll say, hey, you need to update. If you want to give it a due date, you can give it a start date as well. Remember the Gantt chart or the Nancy chart. So if you want to give it a due date, you can say, okay, I need this by the 31st. And you can put a time on it as well. I believe it sends an email. It's overdue. It also tells people when it's overdue. All right, so hopefully that is helpful and that works. We've went over this card in this list. Now down below, there's a section for details. So some of these event day description, it could have been put in here. It didn't have to be typed all up top. It didn't have to be on the Google Doc, but this is another place that it could be under details. These can be changed just by hitting that plus sign. You can create a field, and whatever you want that field to look like, you can do that here. And when you do it, it's going to say, let's click on one and see. So what do you want to call it? That's the custom field name that's here. You can give it a description if you want to give it a description. You can also change it if you want it to be a number or people or phone or whatever the case may be. And it pops up down here at in the details, custom fields. The same token, you don't have to have any custom fields at all. It's just an added feature. Kind of things a little quicker or easier to find. You go to subtasks. This one does not have a subtask. What is a subtask? So this card is a task. The card itself is a task. If you want to create spin-offs or dig down even deeper in one element or another, you can do subtask for this one card. Because this is a lockbox, we did not deem that this lockbox needed any subtask. So there are none here. If by chance you feel that we need to put one on here, then you've read it and you say, hey, this needs to be assigned to somebody, or somebody can't complete this until they know some more details. You can create the subtask. You just click in the box, type in what it is that you want to say. And let's do this so you can actually see it played out. I've typed it in. I can assign it to someone. I can give it a due date. I can give it urgency. I can tag it. I can do custom fields for it, but I'm not. I'm just going to save it because I want to show you something. With subtask, because a subtask can get more granular. Let's say we're going to have 5 speakers, and it's listed up here saying we're going to have 5 speakers, but it doesn't say who the 5 speakers are. So let's say the session wasn't on here. It just said session, but it didn't say who, and let's say it didn't say what the session was about. We can come down here to the subtask and say, oh, sorry, clicked on it too much. We can go down to the subtask and we can write on it and say, is each session and title. So who is going to be doing this? We could also say we need the dates. Let's say the dates weren't on there. And assign this to whoever it needs to be assigned to. I'm just assigning stuff to me, so I'm the only one's getting emails and won't be confusing the world. But it's assigned to me. I can give it a due date and all the things. So when I come to this and I look at it and I say, oh no, I need to do this and get it done, I can, ideally, you want to dig deeper into this one task. So I'm going to click on that task and it opens up another card, because this one task is deeper. So I might say, who is hosting the session? And so I can say, well, on the description box, we are thinking the title is around health. And I can say, will please have 5 people that I'm in talks with. So everybody that is concerned with and it just kind of saves when I stepped off or clicked outside the box, it's saved down. So everyone who's going to the lockbox to look at this event, they don't want to know that I'm in talks with 5 people. They do not care. However, once I get the 3 people locked in, they're going to care about that. So I can put that in here, but again, no one's going to see it unless I tag them, or I can go back to the previous card and I can put it on here. Speakers are Joe Blow, Susie Q, and 1, 2, 3. It's ideal to go back to the to-do for who is hosting each session once I'm finished with it, and I can put it on complete. Now I can also put it on pending when I'm working on it, or almost done, to let people know it's coming, right? Those are some other things I can do. Next, we have action. With action, these are just kind of like checklists. Go to the grocery store and get 5 loaves of bread, 2 chickens, and a dog. Well, I complete each of these things, I can literally just check it off and say, okay, I'm with it. It's completed. But you do a checklist, it's just that. It's a checklist. It doesn't give me a space to dig down deeper and provide more details. Now, if I have, there's something small that I want to say, of course, I can do a comment on it over here, but people are going to be like, okay, what does this go with? And how does it sync up? Because it's just a checklist. Do these 20 things and let me know when they're done. So you can just check things off. But if I'm going to be giving more details about these things, if it runs that possibility for a collaboration or just more details, then I want to go to a subtask and do it there. So before I delete it, let me leave this open and show you one more thing about this page. On this page on the top, it has the pathway to get to here. So we have Ambassadors Unite, that is the list. We have Grace for This Builders, that's the Ambassadors Unite is the space. Grace for This is the list that we're looking at. Inside of the list, we're looking at Event Lockbox. And then we have, that's the task of the card, right? And then we have subtask inside. On the left-hand side, there's an open subtask. I really love looking at this view. Open subtask sidebar. This sidebar lets you see the path of where it's going. So we had a lockbox. These are the subtasks that need to get completed. As you see, the actions are not over here. The action or the checklist, it did not make this cut because it's not a subtask. I can't dig in deeper on an action item or a checklist. but I can dig in deeper for a subtask. Hopefully that makes sense. You can include, of course, if you want to put a cover work on there, a cover image, you can do that. I'm going to delete these things off because there's no need to be on here. I'm going to hit delete, subtask here, and I'm going to delete this one as well. Come on. Go. So I right clicked on it and click delete, and the subtask is gone. Now, here's the cool thing. It's time for us to plan the next event. What do? Let's close out on the right hand side. I click the X. So it's time for us to say, okay, to get ready for the next event. How are we going to do this? We can literally go to Grace for This, Builders Arise. We can, I guess we should talk about that first. We can do add a description. So we can give a description of what this is. 3 lines. It doesn't have to be in great detail. If you want to put a date on it or something like that, or say, hey, do not delete this under any circumstances, whatever you want to do. If you want to put colors on it, so you can change the color of it. Let's say we're going to make it red. So it gives the line red, as you can see. On the left-hand side, the list color is also red. Clear that color off. List assignee, list priority, and list dates. Okay, so if we need to create the next Builders Arise Summit, instead of recreating each list and all the cards that go with it, we could literally just say, Race for This, Builders Arise, duplicate. It's going to duplicate everything that is going to duplicate everything that's in this one section here. So let's do it. Once it duplicates, it's saying it's going to call it copy. We can change this. Let's say it's Builders Arise test. I'm going to take the word copy off. Okay. I'll leave it with the Ambassadors Unite space. We want to copy everything. I don't like to copy everything because generally it takes the comments as well. But you can say copy just the task, or you can customize it. Copy the due date, copy the attachment. So I don't want to copy the due dates because the due dates that were on here before were for June, and now we're in August. So don't copy the due dates. I want to copy the attachments? Probably not, because the attachments were pertinent to that Grace for This Builders Arise Summit, not this one. But you can change all of these, right? The tags, the reoccurring settings, the checklist. Because if you had that checklist before, you probably need that same checklist again. All right, do you want to include archive tasks? Now, if it's archived, it's almost like deleting, but if they're archived, they're not going to copy, or you can tell it you do want to copy them, right? If you delete them, no, it's not going to copy those over at all. So I'm going to say no, and I'm going to say duplicate. It works its magic, and as you see, let's close them so you can see them. This was the original one. Oh, it dug down in them. Let me go back on the left and click Ambassadors Unite so you can see everything. That's the original one up top. And then it has my copied one. Oh, it put it at the bottom. So my copied one is here. I can open it up. All the cards and everything are there. And I can go into each of them and make the adjustments as needed. Now, let's take a look at the pre-launch card or task, just so you'll be familiar with it. Inside, we want to... These are things that need to be created well in advance before the event. If the event's on June 1st, it would be ideal if this stuff was put together by, a 3-month window, right? So that's putting us in March. It'd be ideal if all of this was done at least 3 months in advance. In doing so, they can start to get scheduled and get out, and you'll have a lot of time to promote it. So 20 social media posts that speak to the event. Getting people, let's click on it. I think there's details in here. There we go. So with the 20 social media posts, it's currently on check out the work. It's not assigned to anyone. So who's supposed to be checking this work out? Not sure. However, because we haven't given it to anyone. So now that this is on here, this is what was created to help get ready for the next event. These are all the captions, right? Let's go back up. And you can see on the left-hand side, we were in 20. Now we're going back to pre-launch. The next subtask is captions scheduling. Let's click on that one. And we'll do it from the left side this time. Okay, so all the captions and scheduling for socials, and it was put under the 20 social media posts for promoting the event. So it was put in the wrong place. What does this mean? It means that whenever someone comes over here looking for the captions, they're not going to find it. Or they're going to come here and then say, oh, I need to go to the other one. So let's just go ahead and fix it now. Let's change it. Well, actually, this is the test, so there's no need to change it here. But when we realize we put it in the wrong place, we should have just renamed the cards. So we're going to take this card and name it, even though I'm going to delete this once this training is over, we should have this as the social media post, because you have to create the images in the videos, and it's supposed to be 20. And maybe we put on here images and videos so people will know better good when they come back over here. That doesn't look right. There we go. All right, and then let's go back a step off so it'll save it. There we go. See it updated on the left. Now we're going to go back to the original one for the 20 social media posts, and we're going to change that one to captions, and we're going to put on scheduling, because now that this has been completed, the captions are done, the posts need to be done as well to match them, and then we'll turn around and what we'll do, we'll schedule them. That's how we know it's complete. Next, we'll go down to speakers, because of course we have to have speakers for it. So this part isn't done yet. It says is check out the work, but who's checking it out, right? It doesn't say who's working on it. It doesn't say what the due date is. So let's say I'm the graphic designer and I'm going to be designing some stuff for the event. Well, if I come over here and it doesn't have an estate on it and it doesn't have an assigned person, I don't know who to ask, nor do I know what day I should come back and check for this so I can do my work. And the likelihood of me checking it every single day to see if it's done yet is few and far between. So it's important. That's the importance behind having the due dates and having people, when you're having multiple people work on it. The host says it's Jamaica, but it also says the status is check out the work. Running tech. Who's going to be running the tech through the background? It doesn't say. So as these things are getting completed, we're going to fill in the information here. If there's anything that people need to know more about or any additional information, then of course you can, if someone has a question or something they can add, it's better for it to be happening in the comments, so that way that conversation can be tracked. If we change something over here inside of the description, it's not tracked what day and time was it changed and who changed it. It doesn't say what it was and what it is. It just only shows what it is now. And then of course, we have 15 emails promotion. So these 15 emails should be drafted out with all the things, and it looks like we have those, so that's good. Now, all these things should be corresponding to the event up top from the lockbox in this particular section. Right now, it's only showing the list Grace for this test. The event lockbox does not change. It says this event is in July 25th, but when we were just in the pre-event launch, it was a date in here of March 15th or something like that. They were March 29th. So it seems as if this pre-event launch isn't consistent or congruent with the lockbox. And so that would need to be adjusted. When it comes to, let's delete this test because this was just a test. I right clicked, or I can click those three dots. They call them the love bug. And we can click on delete, and bada boom, bada bing, it's out of here. When we go down to builders and blueprints, this is what's posted on a regular basis inside of the community. Right now, it's set up for the Facebook group. Of course, those adjustments can be made if and when need be. And so it has lockbox, which we kind of like to do because that's the static information. It might be the login and the password for a program or something of that nature, but it has the 4 Thursdays in August, the 4 Thursdays in September. What's the theme? And then whoever is assigned to designing the content and putting everything together, they'll be able to go. So on the right-hand side, there's some activity. Put in the topic for each Thursday and the following for each subtask. So let's go to the subtasks. Oh, look at here. So for the 4 Thursdays, we need 4 emails, 2 social media posts, and a topic for each. So whoever's writing the emails can go into the emails. This is assigned to me. Go figure. Okay, it's been put into a Google Doc. I can click the link and go check it out. But the 4 emails should be inside here. The 8 social media posts. So whoever's writing the social media posts may not be writing the emails and vice versa. They can put the 8 social media posts in here. So that'll be the image, the video, as well as the caption. And all of the emails and the posts needs to know what the topics are. And here's the topics. So this won't until everything is scheduled. Once the social media posts and the emails are scheduled, because it's not good enough just to have them written and in here. They need to be executed, they need to be scheduled. Once they're scheduled, we can change them to complete because we're done working on them. Okay? So that is that. Business is all the things that are for the team building. So we have a retreat. We've added a new person to the board. So I'm going to, because I did today, so I'm going to change this to complete because it is done. Once you're assigned something, also ideal once you've done the work, not just to complete it and close it, but to type a note on there saying and tag someone to let them know it's been done. Hey, such and such, a tag under the comments. I completed this, or I was able to get the person to add it and then complete it. That way, that person will get an email or they get a notification. You complete it, it's been removed from the board, and you won't keep getting notifications on it. And then that next person will know, oh, I can go in and do what I need to do. But if it's completed and the work, and someone was waiting on the work, they won't be able to find it, or they'll have to work harder to find it. Let's say it that way. So that is it. If you have any questions, by all means, let me know. Hopefully, that was succinct and gave you a good overview to kind of get started and messing around and moving and shaking. But I look forward to seeing you in my next video, showing you how to do even more when it comes to your marketing.